Hello everybody, my name is Ivana. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. Today I'm filming my mid-year book wrap-up. For those of you who are in the book community, you know that around the June period, going into July or at the beginning of June, depending, everyone kind of sits down and they talk about the books that they've read in the year thus far. I have read a very low number of books this year, but I'm excited to chat with you about what they are regardless. The first question asks, what is the best book that you've read this year? And I feel like for me, even though I haven't read a ton, I've read really stellar books. So I have a few for this first question. The first one is Jazz Negotiations. This is written by Eche Nduka, and this is actually a poetry collection. And it runs us through poems that explore the world through a musician's eyes, or essentially kind of see the world through a musical lens. Every space, every scene, every history is a musical moment, and it is so beautifully written. It really does speak to some of the political and historical moments that are happening, that have happened and are happening in our present moment, and I really did enjoy this. I also thought it was like a really beautiful expression of like Africanness, blackness, and I would highly recommend this. I have a lot of poems here that I have actually annotated just to kind of show that I love these. The next book is The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. I actually started this in 2025 and I took a very long break because it was very heavy, and I was quite literally sobbing on a plane back to school. So I decided, you know, I'm gonna put this down for now, and for some reason I didn't pick it up again until December, and then I finished it this year. So, you know, she's a bit of a chunky book, but this is brilliant. Like, this is a story, a fantasy story that takes place on a peninsula that is fairly isolated from the contemporary world. They are invested in their customs and traditions, and it's very beautiful to see that, but you also see how this isolation, which has been intentional, also kind of keeps them away from some of the political stuff that's happening, and this comes at the cost of many lives. The story explores grief, grief of self, but also grief of family. Our main character is a strong and resilient woman who has been through so much, and you kind of see her overcoming some of her fear throughout the story. Honestly, it's such an emotional read, but it's so well done, and I would highly recommend this to anybody who is looking for a fantasy book that is not overly action-based. They want something that feels contemplative and reflective. Like, this is definitely the book for you. I don't really know that I should be putting a third book in here, but I'm gonna say The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This book was so fantastic. It was my second read of the year, and I mean, I love high fantasy, I love dark academia. Put them together and you already have won my heart. This book is following a high scholar who ends up the lead of a murder investigation while also being the main suspect for it. And at the same time, we have contingents who are competing for the crown, which is a practice that takes place every, I believe it was like 20 something years or so. There's like a new king, and as she's uncovering this murder investigation, she realizes that a lot more is going on in this kingdom. It is dark, it is witty, it is, you know, combative. Like, there's just so many good things going on in this story. I also love the fact that because she's a high scholar, she's a historian, the book has included like footnotes. And I mean, this may not excite other people, but this literally, like, I love reading footnotes. This excites me to absolutely no end. It just felt like this was just such a perfect read for me, and I can't wait for the second book to come out. So the next question is the most recent book that I finished, and this is Bright Red Fruit by Safia El Hilo. This is a really brilliant story. It follows a young girl. She is really into poetry. It's kind of like her means of expression. She thinks in a very poetic way. She's grown up in a very conservative, strict community, and it's very normal that the kids there kind of cover for each other just so that they can get out to do the simplest of things, like trying on makeup at a beauty store or going to the movies. When her mom hears word that she's been hanging around boys and kind of panics, she locks her in for the summer, and it's not like physically, but she's grounded, and essentially she finds herself on an online poetry platform, which exposes her to a poet named Horace, and he takes an interest in her, and they kind of begin a sort of relationship. This book is definitely darker and heavier than I thought it would be. I mean, I don't really know what I expected because I didn't really read the synopsis. I could have just jumped in. My current read is Gold Coast Dilemma by Nana Malone. I actually haven't gotten very far into this. I was reading this alongside some other books last week and I only made it to page 22. I'm hoping to really get into this today, tomorrow. So yeah, but thus far, I'm enjoying it. Our main character is in the publishing world, and at the beginning of the story, she meets a handsome anonymous stranger at an internship party. They share a moment, she really likes him. Fast forward, she's suddenly getting married and it's not to that guy. That's all I know, and I'm honestly pretty fascinated. So I can't wait to share my thoughts and opinions on this book with you guys. The next question asks, what is a book that did not meet my expectations? And unfortunately, this is a very simple answer, and that is What She Missed by Liara Tamani. I did not have expectations for this in the sense like this was not a highly anticipated read. It's been on my bookshelf for a little bit. The cover is beautiful. I picked it up. I read the synopsis, which is honestly very scant. It doesn't really tell us much. I just got the sense that our main character would be grieving a lost family member, which was the case, but this book was a lot more than that. And I think part of what just disappointed me was the experience. It was not a pleasant reading experience at all. It was really shocking, really confusing, really messed up my head a little bit in a way that I did not appreciate, especially without the forewarning. Like, if I'm gonna read a book where there is an exploration of like maybe like mental health, mental illness, I feel like there should be some communication of that earlier on in the book, or at least in like the synopsis that this is what this character is going through. This book doesn't even really address the fact that this character was having a mental breakdown, like severe. Doesn't really address that. It just happens and then it stops happening, and I'm just like, what? A book that happened to meet my expectations, actually exceed them, was Between Friends and Lovers. I don't actually have a physical copy. I got my copy from the library. I thought this was such a beautiful story. Our main character is a doctor, and she's been best friends with this celebrity, very wealthy guy since they were in college because she saved his life. And she's also been in love with him for many years after that. But when she realizes that this guy is never gonna check for me and I need to move for myself, she ends up running into this really sweet writer at a party being hosted by her friend. And yeah, they kind of hit it off. Initially, she's thinking, oh, I'm just gonna have a bit of fun here, but he's actually a sweetheart, Malcolm Waters. Oh my goodness. And from there, a beautiful relationship kind of blossoms, but we also see a lot of ups and downs of her like trying to move past her friend and also find her own feet with her career, and also see Malcolm like blossom as a writer who's finally getting the recognition that he deserves. I just thought this was such a sweet and lovely story, and I would highly recommend this. I am so excited. I actually have another one of the author's books literally sitting next to me. I would show you the cover, but this is the ugly cover, and I'm going to put the pretty cover on the screen for you to see. Next question, what is the prettiest book added to your bookshelf this year? This is one cover that I think is honestly really beautiful. I like this style of art. It's called Boys Will Be Boys by Miracle Emeka Nkwo, and it has like almost this like water, I don't know, maybe not watercolor, but like there's just this like design pattern that I just think is really beautiful. It gives this kind of like obscure and blurred image, and I feel like this might play a huge role in this book. This is following a group of boys who I think are like mean kids or something, and like one by one they slowly start dying, and it's like this really kind of creepy mystery. And I believe there's a young girl who has some involvement in terms of the investigation process. I honestly don't remember too much. I picked this up in March when I was in Nigeria, and I'm excited to actually read it probably towards the fall, like late August, early September, because it is giving a back to school read for me. I don't know, but I think this is a really gorgeous cover. Okay, the next question is, what are 2 books you're really excited to read? I have 2 answers for this, so I'm going to share both with you. The first is Babel or Babel by R.F. Kuang. I recently read Catabasis and I really enjoyed it. So all of her books are on my radar right now, and I happen to own Babel, and so I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know much about the actual plot. I know that it takes place at Oxford. This is another dark academia fantasy book, and like I said earlier, that's literally my like specialized favorite genre, like subgenre. So I'm so excited to read this. This is again going to be a fall read for me because I feel like it's just such a autumnal dark academia vibe, but I can't wait to get started on this book. And then the second book that I'm really excited to pick up this year is A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo, and this story follows 2 characters primarily. One is, I literally just checked their names, Eniola, and then the other is Ruola, and they are coming from 2 very different socioeconomic classes, very different backgrounds, and their lives are brought together by a politician who takes an interest in Eniola, who comes from a lower socioeconomic status and who honestly guys, I don't really know, but I know that I'm really excited to read this. I do. And also this cover is gorgeous as well. I'll probably try and read this summer. I might even pick this up early July, so stay tuned for a potential book review, or you'll probably see me reading this in a vlog because I'm always reading in my vlogs. At this point, I don't even need to do reading vlogs when all my vlogs have reading in them. So yeah. And the last question is, what are some new releases that I'm excited for? I have so many books to share, but I'm going to try and make this really quick. I'm not going to go into too many details, but I am going to show you the covers and release dates, so if any of these look interesting, you can also check them out. The first book is Die For Me by Charlene Obuobi, and this book is coming out July 14th. This is like probably my most anticipated release of this year. It is by the author of Between Friends and Lovers and On Rotation, and it's a vampire book. Black characters, vampires, I'm always down for that. So literally so excited about that. And then another book that I am really excited for is Heir of Prophecy by Anale Sabrana. And this book is coming out July 30th, so another July release. This is a high fantasy, dark academia kind of read and vibe. So there's just so much to be thrilled over with that. The last book that I am really looking forward to its release is already out. Oh my goodness. That's so awkward. Anyways, Our Sister's Keeper by Jasmine Holmes, which came out earlier this month of June. And yeah, it's gothic, it's historical. That's all you need to know. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching this video. A very chatty vlog. I hope you guys got some good book recs. Let me know some of the answers of these questions for you. If there's a book you really loved, if there's a book that didn't meet your expectations, a new release you're excited for, whatever it may be, I would love to hear it in the comments. And I'll see you guys in my next video.
Lay down with me, my love. There's truth in the noise above. I know you wanna fly, but won't you just rest for a while?